Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the number 2 video of painting the Creative 30 Challenge for April. This is my second video, and today we're working on a vertical piece with lots of greens. And the panel I'm working on is a very inexpensive 9x12 that I've toned with a little bit of acrylic paint to get some browns and warm colors in it because there's so much green on here. I intend to leave a lot of that red to show through when I put the darks in. And welcome, good morning. We'll start out as I normally do with the darks, and just get some basic stuff going on here. First we'll do the thirds so I can keep my shapes roughly in proportion. They don't have to be perfect, as I'm not trying to copy the photograph but use it as a reference. And it's nice to have this grid system as a guide to keep me in check. I like this shape down here. It's a nice foil for that corner, and I really like this reflection, and that's fitting right in here. And this dark shape, it goes right in through here. A nice directional piece that goes from left to right, and it's tethered by this light piece here, and it's dark shapes down in there. The horizon is roughly up in this area, and we've got this really interesting tree that goes right through here, and I'll just make that a big shape. And there's a little bit of a background out here, which is kind of cool. I'll keep that in the distance, but we have some foils, shapes that slow down the shape compositions. So this is an interesting shape. This is an interesting shape. We have shadows that come down through here with lots of darks, and this is a nice dark feeling of a shape in there. And this is the reflection that goes right in here. And this is my dark shadow on this bank. This light piece, I'm hoping, will be a directional bumper so that the eye will come back around in a nice composition this way, or maybe this way, but we'll see. So I normally start with darks to mediums to lights, and I'll use our scrubber brush. I can find it. Here it is. And we'll start with the darks. I'm using burnt umber and ultramarine blue. I consider burnt umber really a dark orange. Orange and blue are complementary, and they're both fairly dark, so it gives me my cool dark if I use more blues. I've added a little bit of liquid to it, and we're just going to scrub in some darks here. This is a really nice dark shape, and this is a nice dark shape. And this tree is a dark shape. We've got some shadows that run through here. Yeah, fun stuff. I'm making these marks to look like kind of this tree shape-ish shape. Just getting the darks on there. Just want to feel my way to where these darks are going to be. Darks are going to be just something I'm going to carve into later. Having established that, I'm not really looking into a lot of detail. I'm just trying to get overall shapes in there. My next step is to go to the medium values. And there's so much green in here. So I'm using ultramarine and cad orange. And that's going to give me a gray medium value, I hope, I think. If not, we can always change it. But that gives me this shadow green color. I'm still using this chip brush. It's a very inexpensive Home Depot chip brush. I'm just going to scooch some of that stuff in there. Like that. I think I'd like to add just a little bit of blue in there, just to keep it cool. A little bit darker maybe. Keep the values down there where they belong, like that. And this is a little bit lighter. It's got to go in the background. We got this real pretty background mountain. It sits right in here. Kind of like that. And you want to be careful because around the edge of this, 1/8 of it is going to have some frame, and so you want to be careful that you don't put too many pieces so close to the frame that when you put the frame on it, it doesn't become a tangent somewhere. There's a little bit of blue right in here just to give me an indication of where things are going to be. It's probably not the right value, but I can fix that later when we get to our medium values. The next value is this really light yellowish green shape. So I'm using some cadmium yellow amidst the puddle of green, the puddle of paint that I already had mixed up. And I want to add just a little bit of orange to that, so it's not quite so brilliant. A lot of what we see is gray in nature. So I'm going to take some of that, put it on there and see how well it looks. It might be a little not perfect. That's all right. We can always adjust that a little bit later. That gives me an idea of where things are. And I'll adjust it as I go. So up front here, I really want more marks, more detailed-ish marks. And that kind of gives the impression that it's more forward. And I think I can darken some of this to make it look a little bit more interesting, like right in here, a little bit darker. Some darker bluishness in here. where the shadow is working. And a little bit warmer. I'm going to try for a little bit warmer underneath that, right in here. Like that. This is coming on really, really fast. A lot faster than I anticipated, but that's all right. Nothing wrong with that. So I've got my darks and my mediums laid in. The next step is to go towards lighter values. So I like to work in threes, dark, medium, and light. And then I'll go back and adjust as necessary. So with my light colors, I like to work more with a palette knife. So when we start, the medium values are a little bit thicker than the dark values. That is to say, my darkest values are usually very thin and watery and wet, and I want it to show through the canvas. And as we get to the medium values, the paint gets just a little bit thicker. And as we hit the light values, I make the paint even thicker. So we're going to hit this right in here. Just trying to shape and carve that tree a little bit. Define this background hill a little bit. And we'll jump into a little bit of negative space painting right in here. The sky holes right in through here, and down in through here. And I see that down in the water value color is a little bit deeper. So I'm going to take that and make that right to that value. And do some carving in here into that dark shape. This is a lot like painting wet into wet, because this stuff is really sloppy. That's okay. All right. Those are my basics. That's just the basics. Now we can go back in and start refining these shapes, adding, pushing things around a little bit. Making shapes more relatable. Make these relationships more integral to the overall. All right, we've got a great start here. We'll take some brushes and start emphasizing different parts. So we'll go back to the darks. I want the sap green, ultramarine blue, a little burnt umber, make a nice dark military drab color. And we'll just start defining little pieces and parts. Like one side of this tree, it's got a darkness to it. Right in here. It's got lots of branches coming out. And we can take some wipeout tools and make these shapes more agreeable to handling paint. And this color, really interesting. Use a wipeout technique with a Q-tip and a paper towel. Establish the darks again, and here. And that shape's got a really interesting orangish green color to my eye. How can you have an orangish green color? I don't know. It's kind of like this color. Got some interesting things. Maybe you could see through the water a little bit there. And it's got this warmness from that. Goes in there. And it's got this really bright, defined edge right in there. And that color is that color. Ish, sort of. I take some of this and put it over here. Could be a little bit darker, a little bit orangier. So I touched a little bit of alizarin crimson and cadmium orange. I'm just going to make that a little darker. Darker still, I think. Yeah, something like that. start on a really good painting. We're coming up on our 20-minute mark, I think. 20 to 30-minute mark, and so I'm going to finish this off camera and I'll post it on the Facebook and Instagram webpage. And you can see the finished product there. This is a good start, don't you think? Please let me know. So this is the second video I've done, the 8th painting of the 30-day challenge by Alan Picard. And please leave some remarks. Let me know what you think. And talk to you soon. Have a great day. Stay safe and stay healthy.